I'm gonna go ahead and say it because like y'all kind of have been dancing around it. Definitely the most disappointing show for me this season was Skeleton Knight. I look here, be damned. I, the nerve that they had. Like I sat there and watched that trailer, and I was like, okay, it seemed like it's gonna be some like violence and shit, but I didn't know it was gonna be all of that. It opened up on some hentai shit. I was like, if y'all cut this bullshit, and it was like some weird, gross SA type shit, like sexual.
It
I'm like,
was.
man, fuck no. Like, and they had the nerve to have to protect, and then like they showed it twice, bro. They showed it
They did
not one
show it
time.
twice.
They
Damn,
had
They
to
they
run it
did.
did.
back. They was like, let's show the protagonist watching it from his perspective. And the only thing I was thinking is, why don't your bitch ass go up in there and help? Like they out here crying and the chick then pissed herself and shit. I'm like, all right, this
Oh
this
wow.
first of all, this is gross and weird, and
Exactly.
it's definitely out of some weird fucked up hentai. But like, yo, like go do fucking something. You got all these powers, you can teleport and all this shit. You got this super powerful sword swing and shit. The nerve, like, just that show is like the first episode of that show is ass. I'm sorry. And then like the second episode, they tried to like completely 180 it, and they made it like really wholesome. And he goes on this quest with this tiny little girl, and you're like, oh god, please don't let anything happen to the girl. And nothing happens. He's just like looking after the whole episode, and he's a nice guy. And she gives him like I forget, she gave him like some flowers or like Aretha flowers or some shit like that. And it was like some really wholesome shit. And I'm like, this don't fit with what you did in the first episode. So now you just fucked it all up. And I don't know whether episode one is the real show or episode two is the real show, but they need to figure that shit the fuck out. And like if episode one is the real shit, then it's basically just redo of Healer with a less shit protagonist. And if it's episode two is the real one, then you had a wholesome show and you fumbled the bag. And now all the people that will want to watch it because it was wholesome are like, yo, man, I'm not watching this shit with this creepy bullshit in it. So like, I don't know what the fuck they thought that show was. I'm sure there are plenty of edge lords that'll dig it. I'm not opposed to violence. And if it had just been violence, I'd be like, all right, sometimes, motherfuckers get cut up. Oh, well, it is what it is. I'm not opposed to violence. I'm not opposed to righteous justice. But you can't use SA and have it be like, oh, this week he gonna get the justice for that. Like, no, my guy, like that's gross and weird. And it's time to step it up when you talk about writing. Like, knock it off. So like
Amen.
that's the
Amen to
one.
all that.
That's the one that disappointed me the most by far. And
Yeah.
I wanted to go back and watch episode three, but I really thought about it, and it came down to like, how much time do you have in your day? How much time do you have in your week? And while you are watching something that you're like trying to give a chance, you could be watching something that is excellent. And I just refused. I was like, why watch this when I can watch something that I love? Why? I mean, like, there's already the fact that there's part four. Like, when we get around to it, there's a whole category about stuff we haven't seen that we meant to get around to, and I could have watched that instead of this bullshit. All right, my bad, y'all. I'm sorry for going off. Will, what's up? What show
Okay, Sage.
disappointed
It's
you,
okay.
man?
I mean, let me be honest with you, bro. You pretty much covered my whole base because I was gonna go on a tangent. So as far as I'm concerned, you beat me to it. Skeleton Knight is some bullshit. It should not have even touched the damn airwaves in Tokyo. They should have left that on the drawing board. I'm sorry, but you can't sit up here and put that element in front of me and say, warning, there will be graphic depictions of maybe possibly sexual assault, rape, and or heavy violence. And then the first thing I see is some woman face in the dirt screaming her eyes out, trying to get saved, and then these dudes die like a good minute and a half later. I have to sit through all that screaming and crying and hoping that nobody hear that I'm in here watching this mess. Because they could get the wrong idea. So I can't do that because the shift was too much for me. For me to be going from this dire situation to him being like, I'm the most overpowered thing in here. I don't know how I got here, but I was playing the game. I fell asleep. I woke up. I'm a skeleton. Look at my armor. Look at my sword. Look at my magic. I got it all. I'm the most powerful man in this room. Now I got to go back and show y'all what happened beforehand. And I'm just like, it ain't for me. It ain't for
Yeah,
me.
the tone shift
y'all-
was wild. Yeah.
Do y'all
Like-
feel like when they originally made this show, it almost feels like they thought it was going to be one show, and then someone got the director and was like, "What did you do? This is not what the show is." It's like, "Oh, let's redo that the next
No.
episode." That's what it feels like.
No,
Bro,
I mean, like,
that is, man.
I've talked about this before. I feel like what you have is a lot of really bad writers who get further than they should because we don't have gatekeepers anymore. Like there was a time, and this is a big tangent from what we were supposed to be talking about, but it relates to what you're talking about, what you asked. There was a time everywhere where if you wrote a book, if you wrote a novel, a manga, whatever, you wrote it and you had to send it to somebody. You had to send it to an editor that worked at a company, and they would read it, and if it was bullshit, trash, they threw it in the trash where it belonged. Now, especially in Japan, where you can write web novels, which basically you might as well say it's like the same thing as writing like an original fanfic. Like I don't want to say fanfic, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Like you write it and you put it up on what is it? Archive of Our Own is the new one. I almost said fanfiction.net.
I don't know what was it, like blogger.net.
I got an
or
app
something.
called Web Novel. That's an app called Web Novel. You can literally call one called Web Novel and put on there.
Exactly. Like you just put it on there, and like if people like it, it don't matter if it's good. They go, oh, well, the shit gonna sell. Like, yeah, I think it's trash, but so what? It's gonna sell. And so the next thing you know, somebody's first novel, which should have been in the trash where it belonged, instead it becomes popular. Everybody goes, oh wow, I like this a lot, and it's really somebody's first draft. And then when they do the second draft, it's like a light novel. And then next thing you know, somebody's fucking first project winds up as an anime somewhere. And that's what this feels like. It feels like somebody's first project ever, where they thought that sexual assault is just something cool to like have some like edgy cool thing that you could have the protagonist save some people from, and I'm like, that's not how that works at all. And then the nerve, I gotta come back to it because the nerve to put the thing up that Will's talking about, the warning, and then like you didn't even have time for the warning. Like 2 seconds later, you hear screaming and horrible shit happening. I'm like, who the next topic.
Yo, you got ready to cuss so bad that your mic censors you flat out, bro. You can't even get the rest of that word out.
All right.